everywhere. But we are live now. Welcome to Essential Social Media for today's Real Estate Agents, featuring Dave Shaw, who is the social media and digital marketing manager over at ERA. Dave's going to share with us some exciting information today for you guys to use in your business going forward during this time of COVID virus and all that. So I'm going to just go ahead and turn it over to Dave since we're already behind.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you just basically a rundown of social media organic habits, best practices for paid social media, and just go through all of that information for you. I know it's been a little bit of a long time coming. I'm really excited to share this presentation with you, and I hope that you get a lot of different takeaways from it. Before I go into organic habits, though, I wanted to just quickly talk about social media at a really high level, and that is if you were to think about word of mouth and marketing through word of mouth. And if you think back 25 years ago in the 1990s, it was really about people connecting outside and saying, hey, I've got I'm looking to upgrade my home. I'm looking to sell or downsize, whatever it might be. And they reach out to their friends and they dial them on their phone or talk to them outside in the park and say like, hey, who do you know that I can reach out to? And what's most interesting about that is nowadays, all of those conversations are still happening. It's just that they're happening more on social media. In fact, I saw a recent study that showed that on Nextdoor, which is one social media platform, almost 25% of all the content there is people asking for recommendations and people giving recommendations for professional services. So social media really is the new word of mouth. It's a great place to be if you're a person looking to grow your business, especially organically. And it's also the largest billboard on the planet. I mean, when you think about how people scroll their news feeds and how much attention people give to news feeds, it just really goes to show that people are paying attention to what's on social media, whether it's positive or negative. Their attention is definitely drawn to this device. So it's the largest billboard on the planet. So I wanted to show you a little bit more information about how many people are on different platforms, where are they going, who's there. So if we look at this, if you were to take all of the people who were logging into social media per month, and if you were to put them onto one slide, this is how this slide would be structured. About 2.45 billion people log into Facebook on a monthly basis. That's a lot. That's almost a quarter of that entire map. And another 2 billion log into YouTube on a monthly basis and 1 billion into Instagram. And what's interesting about this is that Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same company. So they really have got a really big footprint and a lot of users that log into those platforms. Facebook specifically is more global. If you look at the demographic breakdown of YouTube, it's more US based, right? So these are two platforms that you should really be looking at when it comes to working, your business. So going back to this, especially in nowadays, the global pandemic response has really brought more attention and realization back to the fact that, social media is there to make connections, to connect with others. And really, we're seeing a lot of scaling back of marketing and more about connecting person to person and human to human, whether that's the mayor of New York going live to give you more information, or if it's just, people connecting with each other one-on-one in Zoom. It's more about those connections versus conversions. And connections also lead to conversions as well. It's about driving those relationships. So with that said, I wanted to go into organic social and talk a little bit about that. So what do I mean by organic social? Well, this is the kind of social media where you don't really pay for anything. It's mostly an investment of your time and your energy. And it's about building habits that you're going to use consistently to help build your business. So, daily activities. Why is it important to have daily activities on social media as part of your organic strategy? Well, if you think about it, it's about staying connected with your sphere of influence. If you're on social media and social media is the new word of mouth, this is a way to reach out to people that you're already connected with and just let them know that you're there, you're part of their life, and staying top of mind. It's a way to grow and deepen those relationships. So it's a way for you to go and reach out and really understand other people and seeing what their interests are, what their plans are for the future, and really like helping them out in terms of giving them that local knowledge, those local insights, and also your professional real estate knowledge to help them out in guiding them towards the future. It's also to show your competency and commitment. So it's a great way to, share your recent listings, to share anything that's going on in the market, whether it's local or national. It's just a great way to reach out to people and show that you are a professional in the real estate industry. And also, it's to gain rapport with people outside of your sphere of influence. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, not just to reach out to friends and people that you're connected with, but also to go into local groups and reach out to new people, make new connections. And that's all a part of your organic strategy. So now we talked about the why. Let's talk about the do. What should you do as part of your daily activities? Well, the first one, and I've listed this, I feel like in order of importance. So number one, and the biggest one, is have a routine for Facebook Messenger, for WhatsApp, for FaceTime, all those one-to-one direct messaging apps. And the reason why I say Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp is because on Facebook Messenger specifically, if you connect with somebody and you start reaching out to them on Facebook Messenger, Facebook has this thing in the background called the affinity score between two people. And the more that you interact with each other, whether it's through the newsfeed, through commenting, or even through personal messaging like Facebook Messenger, it grows that affinity score. And what happens with that affinity score is that when you start posting material on your user account, it starts appearing more often than their newsfeed because you've built up a relationship with this one person. So number two, personal updates to your user profile. So when we go on social media, you may have heard of the 80-20 rule. You may have heard of other different rules where 80% of all the content that you put on social media should be personal, and then that other 20% should be business related. I don't really adhere to any kind of 80-20 rule or any other kind of mix and match rules. But essentially, if you've got a personal update and it's significant, or if you've got something that's funny or branded to yourself, that personal update should definitely be posted to your user profile and not your business page. So with, hold on one second, I have to mute Michael. So. All right. So let me go back to this. So number three is your business updates to your business page. So when you have a business update, such as sharing a listing or anything that's related to business, you should definitely post it to your business page, but then also go and share it back to your user profile. That way it reaches out to your direct sphere of influence and just doesn't just sit out there in the ether collecting dust. Number four is be an active resource in a local Facebook group. So this is about reaching out to people that are outside of your sphere of influence. Just connect with different Facebook groups that are more have to do with local information, and then from there. By the way, Michael, I can hear your microphone. Hold on. All righty. So also reach out, be an active resource in a local Facebook group in terms of showing your local knowledge. And finally, I don't like the word engage. It's a little cold. So it's more about interact. Engaging is kind of like you reaching out to other people. Interacting is if somebody else posts something, comment on it. You don't have to always be the one that's reaching out to them. You could always go to them, see if they've created a post, and then comment on that post. Be a part of their life and not necessarily just like, reaching out to them one way. And also be your genuine self. You don't have to be somebody else on social media. If you've got, a certain personality, always show that personality, because this is one of the things that really sets you apart as a person and as a professional. So now that we've talked about what you should do, let's talk about posts that are really attention grabbing. And I'm going to talk about post types specifically. So the first one is images. Images are a really great way to attract people's attention, mainly because an image tells 1,000 words. It's really, really a good way to attract people's attention, especially when they're scrolling the feed and they see a whole bunch of images and they can go and flip through them. When you're taking images, photos, I've got a really good habit of, at the first of the month or whenever it's nice outside, I like to go outside. I like to take like 30 photos of just different places around in my local area. And you can go and schedule those out to post those out on your business page if you'd wanted to, or just have an archive of different photos that you could go and share on social media on a regular basis. The other one is video. Video is super attention grabbing, a lot more so than photos, especially if it has a person in it. If it has, just a walkthrough of a home, it is pretty engaging. But also, if it has you in the beginning teeing it up and just telling a little bit about the home, it's really, really highly attention grabbing. And finally, the last one is going live on social media. This is very, very attention grabbing. People want to be engaged. They want to be right there in the moment. So the Facebook Live is probably going to be the most engaging type of post that you could put out there, in addition to photos and videos. Now, a little note about going live. I've noticed that there's a really huge discrepancy when it comes to the connectivity of your phone and when you're going live, especially when you're going live in places that you're unfamiliar with, that you haven't gone live with before, such as an open house, where it might cut out a little bit. And what I like to do is when I'm outside of my home and I'm not really sure what my connection is with the place that I'm at, is that I use this app, and the app is called Speed Test. I'm not sure if you can see it right there, but essentially Speed Test allows me to go and see what my phone's connectivity is with the nearest cell tower. And essentially, if I'm looking at Speed Test, I want my upload speed to be about 6 megabits per second, just to get that 720p mark. That's that like sort of almost high def, that DVD quality look on a stream. But if it's lower than 6, like if we're getting down into the 3 megabits per second mark, you're getting more into like standard definition, and it may cut out, it may pause, it may not look as great as before. And if you're at home, or if you have a really, really good cell phone connection, really rare, but if you do have one that goes up to 13 megabits per second, that's when you're going to get your high definition 1080p video for live video. So that app is called Speed Test. You download it, it's free. When you hit the go button, it will automatically go and test your speed to the nearest cell tower. And these are the numbers you should be looking at in terms of upload, which is different from download. And you should be looking at like the 6 megabits per second mark. And if it's over that, it's great. If it's under, I wouldn't go live. In those instances where it's down at 3 megabits per second, instead of going live, shoot the video, and then you can upload it to social media later. Another thing about going live is, usually I'm terrified of it. I'm terrified of it even now, doing a Facebook Live. So there are a couple of cheats that I found that really help out in terms of getting you confident with the camera and getting you more personable when you're on social media and you're talking to people. The first is your chest and hands. When you're talking to the camera, just make sure that you have good posture, that your chest is out, and that your hands are at a neutral level right by your chest or your stomach. That way you can speak from down here and not up here. And it also helps with your confidence if you have your hands and they're free and you're gesturing, and also with chest and breathing, it definitely helps. The other thing is, before you go live, give yourself a little smile. I know it sounds silly, but it really does help, especially if you've had a bad day. If you give yourself a smile, you can't help but talk with a smile. And people love that. You don't want to go onto a live stream going like this and saying, "Hi, I'm Dave Shaw, and I'm going to show you some social media tips." See, it doesn't really work. So if I have my cheeks up like this, I'm squinting my eyes, I'm smiling, it really, really helps. And it gets you in the right mood. The other one is experimentation. So what I would suggest is, if you haven't gone live before, if you're not familiar with it, you're not comfortable with it, go and open up a Facebook group just by yourself. And go live into that one Facebook group and just present to yourself or to one other person. You could be your wife, your son, your daughter, whoever it might be, and just kind of like see what it's like to go live, see what it feels like, see how you interact with it, and that way you can get a little bit more comfortable with it. So those are some options that will help you out. I've also found, and it's not on here, but I found that if you look directly into the camera instead of away at my slides, it's more easy to interact and connect with the person that's on the other end of that camera. If I was always just looking at my slides like this and I was talking, it's very easy for that other person on the other side to disengage because I'm not looking them in the eye. So if I'm looking at you right in the eye, right there, it's much, much more easy to engage with you and have you connect with me on the other end. So here are some things to avoid on social media, especially now when people are looking for more positivity, they're looking for motivation. And the first one that I could suggest to you is avoid sharing excessive quizzes or automated posts through mobile gaming. It just creates spam. Like, people are really not interested in it. So if you have any mobile games, just make sure that you go in there and you turn the notifications off. So that way it doesn't automatically post to Facebook. This is not really that much of an issue anymore. But if you remember back to the days of Farmville, where people were just getting notifications out the wazoo of different Farmville updates, it just wasn't that great. Like, people would just, go and ignore you. And then if you had something really important to say, they wouldn't see it. Number two, try to avoid publishing or sharing divisive content. The reason why is that I found that, you can either use social media as a soapbox, or you can use social media to level up your business. They really don't go hand in hand. They really clash. And the reason is, if you are using social media to share content that may be divisive or controversial, you're alienating a segment of your audience that may have wanted to reach out to you for business purposes. So if you avoid sharing that kind of content, you basically are including everyone into your space on social media, and you're saying, you know what, my space is a safe space, it's a professional space, and it's a fun and positive experience. So try to create a space for your audience, all of your audience, to interact with you safely and comfortably. The third one is try to avoid liking a series of posts in quick succession. So, for example, if you just connected with somebody on Instagram, I wouldn't go through their entire Instagram feed and click the like button on all of their posts and just scroll down and click like. And the reason is, when that other person goes and they see their notification and they see you just littered on their notifications, they're going to say, wow, this guy is really creeping me out. Like, he is really like stalking me on social media. So you don't want to do that. What you could do is just like a recent post, and then maybe like a couple of days later, like another post. I wouldn't just go and do them all in quick succession like that, because it looks a little weird. It looks a little desperate. I just wouldn't do it. Number 4, I would avoid aggressively going for the close. This is more about going back to that conversations and connections versus conversions. If you're reaching out to somebody, it's not about like, hey, can I help you sell your home? It's more about, hey, is there anything that you need? Is there anything that I can help you with? That is more beneficial to than just a business close. Number 5, avoid acting or appearing to be someone you're not. So if you're not a suit and tie person, don't wear a suit and tie. Like, I'm not wearing a suit and tie right now. I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's still branded, still looks okay. But if I were to wear that suit and tie, I would feel very restricted. I just wouldn't feel like myself. And I don't think that I would do as good of a job. So always just be yourself on social media. Never try to conform to what other people expect of you. Just be yourself and be genuine. And at the end of the day, with all these avoidances, just remember that people don't always remember what you do, but they will remember how you make them feel. So on social media, try to make them feel like they're super special. Try to be positive. Create that environment that people would want to engage and want to interact with you, and you will do fine. So Evergreen Organic. So these aren't necessarily the things that you'll do every day, but these are the things that you can do like every once in a while, just to keep them updated. And I like this acronym. The acronym is YNAP. We wouldn't want to nap on these points. So the W is your website. Just make sure that on any social media, any of your accounts have an updated website that people can go to. Headshot. I wouldn't use a headshot from 20 years ago. I would keep it up to date. Even if it's not the best one that you've ever had, at least it's, an accurate representation of what you look like. That way, if you go on a listing presentation, or if they look at you and you jump onto the Zoom call, they're not shocked. And they're not like, oh, you're very different from the Facebook image that you had up. It just avoids that conversation entirely, and creates a better experience. The Y stands for your why. All right, so that's your story. Like, why are you in real estate? Why do you do what you do? What motivates you to keep going? What are the key points that separate you from somebody else? Like, what's your value proposition? All of that can go onto your profile on social media. And NAP, that's your name, your address, your phone number. Just make sure that it's consistent across all of social media. You wouldn't want it to be different on Facebook than it is on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it might be. And the reason is, if you are marketing somebody's home, you want to prove to them that you are a competent marketer. And one of the things about marketing is consistency. So wouldn't you want your contact information to be consistent across all of social media? I think I would. So now that we've gone through organic, I just want to talk a little bit about paid social media. So let's talk about Facebook specifically. Back in 2011, if you had a business page and you were doing organic social media marketing, it was gravy. It was gold. The reason is, if you put out a post on your business page, everyone would see it. It was crazy. You could put out a post, you'd get an incredible amount of leads. You wouldn't have to spend any money. It was just amazing, and you could just grow your audience, your following, fairly easily. And Facebook understood this, and they saw an opportunity there and said, you know what? It's a good way for us to have companies build their audiences fairly cheaply. And by 2014, they said, well, you guys have built up some pretty sizable audiences using our user base. So now what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the amount of people that see your organic content on your business page. And we will encourage you to go and spend some money on ads to go and reach more people. And they saw this, and it was very lucrative. It worked. So in 2017, it became an environment where almost nobody is seeing organic posts on pages anymore, but everyone is seeing all of these sponsored posts in their newsfeed. And the reason for that is that because in order for businesses to reach all of the users, they have to pay to reach the users. So here's an example of that. This is organic reach per post for business pages. Got this information from Statista.com. And essentially in 2011, you could reach almost, I would say 16, 17% of your page audience per post. And then by 2016, 2017, that went down to about 2.8%, I believe that's at. And it's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's definitely at this point for a business page, a pay-to-play platform. So conversely, if you look at Facebook's advertising revenue, that goes from almost nothing in 2011 and goes up to just over $50 billion in 2018. And it continues to climb. And what's interesting about this is that this kind of like gets me a little upset, but not really, because advertisers are still continuing to pay more on the platform. In fact, I read a just recent study that said by 2021, advertisers are going to double their budgets on social media versus scale back. And that's including everything that's going on today. And the reason for that is that those ads are still effective. They're super effective. They cost less than traditional media. So you could literally go out there and spend anywhere between $5 to $40 on an ad, and you're reaching out to people that you haven't reached out to before and still get a pretty sizable amount of impressions on those ads. They're efficient on the ad spend. In fact, the CPC, or the cost per click on a Facebook ad, is still less than that of digital display, of search, and definitely more efficient than TV, billboards, print, and all those others. And that's not to say that those are not effective. It's just saying that social media is more effective in terms of the ad spend. There's no long-term commitments. So you set the amount of time that you want the ad to run, and it will run for that amount, and then it will stop after that amount. So you don't have to go to Facebook and say, I'm not sure about this 1-year commitment. No, there's none of that. You just set the ad and go with it. There's a do-it-with-me approach to creative, which is fantastic. If you go through the Facebook ad creation wizard through Business Manager, it really just runs you through the entire process. It starts with your objective, like what do you want to do? And that could be either getting impressions, it could be getting leads, it could be clicks to my website, it could be all sorts of things, and it helps you run through it. And also, if you have a list of photos, you can also dump that into that creation wizard, and it creates a pretty good montage out of a video montage out of all of that creative. So there is a do-it-with-me approach when you're doing it directly through the platform. There's relatively simple retargeting options. So, there's a place where you could go and create a Facebook pixel, and you could retarget those audiences if they go to visit your website, and then you could go and serve them an ad. Case in point, if you've ever gone to Amazon.com and you've searched for a certain item, and then you go onto Facebook, and then you see that item in your newsfeed, that's because of the retargeting options that are available through Facebook. And even though Amazon uses it really, really well, that doesn't mean that you can't use them to the same degree. It just means a little bit more time and effort on your part. And with social media ads, you're able to reach the top funnel, the middle funnel, and the bottom funnel. Like, you can reach anybody at any point in that marketing funnel, as opposed to a billboard where you're not really sure what part of the funnel they're at. And what do I mean by a funnel? So in marketing, we talk about marketing funnels as an upside down triangle. And what that means is that at the top of the triangle, at the top of that funnel, we have all of our awareness campaigns. An awareness campaigns means that you're not necessarily looking for clicks. You're not necessarily looking for leads. You're not necessarily looking for people to go to your website. you're just looking for people with eyeballs looking at your stuff. Right? That is being put out to your entire market potential. That's your market pool. And this is all about trying to generate those leads, trying to get from that market potential, that market pool, and pull all of those people who may be interested in the service that you provide. So from there, as you go down the marketing funnel, you have the people that are interested in the service that you provide and interested in what you do. Those are your suspects. Those are people that you're saying, they interacted with me and they interacted with my ad. They might be interested in what I do. They might be interested in either buying a home, selling a home, or anything like that. So that's about still driving that lead generation and getting them in. So from there, if they've interacted and they've reached out to you, those are your prospects. Those are your leads, right? Those are the people that have a desire to transact. They have a desire to do something with you, an action, right? Whether that's either going to see a home or they want to learn more about your business, they want to bring you in for a listing presentation, possibly. Those are your prospects. Those are your leads. Right? As we go down the funnel, we get into the action, right? These are the leads that after the listing presentation become your clients, right? And after that, at the bottom of the funnel, and also you could say that funnel goes all the way back up to the top again, is the loyalty. Those are the people that are your advocates, right? Those are the people that will either do a business transaction with you again, or will refer other people into your marketing funnel. Right, so follow-up is key there. What's interesting about all this is that ERA has some really, really cool programs to help bring people into your funnel and help people keep people into your funnel. So, for example, it's really, really hard to go from an action to loyalty, right? Because there's just consistent follow-up. There has to be follow-up all the time just to make sure that you're top of mind, that you're part of the process. And ERA has some really cool things. One of them is the ERA Moves program. What that essentially does is it allows you to stay top of mind when that one client becomes a homeowner and that homeowner goes through the home ownership lifecycle. The other one is the buyer and seller follow-up plan. Definitely go and check those out. All of that information is available on the ERA Extranet Leverage at leverage.era.com. So now that we've talked about that and you're interested about sponsored posts, let's talk about what makes a good sponsored post. Well, that sponsored post has to be highly visual. Remember how I told you about the most engaging posts are images, videos, and live? Well, you can't necessarily do a live per se, but you could definitely do video. And video for sponsored posts is pretty engaging, very, very engaging. And what's interesting about this is that on Facebook, you can go and you could create your own video, post it there. But also ERA has a tool called Social Boost that literally takes all of your photos from a listing and stitches them together into a video montage. And ERA creates a video microsite. It pushes it out to YouTube and also pushes that out to an office business page that you could go and share. But you could also download that video from Social Boost, and then you could go and upload it on your own to create a sponsored post in Facebook. So it has to be highly visual. And also keep in mind with visual is that people are looking at these by scrolling on their phones, right? So you only have about 3 seconds to capture their attention. So make sure that that video has a really interesting hook in the beginning. Either it could be the curb appeal shot of the house, or it's a video about you introducing the montage right at the beginning. And with Social Boost, you could go in and you could drag and drop a video that you've created on your own directly into that video montage. That way it's all stitched together. So what you provide has to be valuable, and it could either be valuable in terms of being educational, or it could be valuable in terms of being entertaining. And what's interesting is that you, as a real estate agent, a real estate professional, have almost an unlimited amount of possibility of including both. One of our agents that we have in our network, Bill Olson, I'll give him a really good shout out here, is really, really good at providing both. He provides value by being educational, like he provides information that a home buyer or home seller might need. And he also makes it entertaining by doing certain things, having themes, being very personable on video. It's really, really cool. It has to be actionable. So make sure that your video has a single call to action that somebody could take right at the end. So either it's call, it could be go visit the website, it could be do this, do that. It just has to be actionable, because if you don't have a call to action on your video, you may have a very engaging video and maybe valuable, maybe highly visual, but it doesn't really incite anybody to do anything after the fact. So make sure you have that action at the end. And finally, it has to be relevant. So you have to really understand who your target audience is, and really structure that that video around what you think or what you perceive that is relevant to them. So, for example, if you're reaching out to a first-time home buyer, maybe not necessarily talk about these really big, extravagant homes, but maybe talk about how it's important to go from renting to saving to buying your first home. So the other thing that you can think about here, and I know that for this, I've pulled out some of the most effective ads that were in the Hilton Head area, but you can see every single housing-related ad in your area by going to this link here, and it's www.facebook.com/ads/library, and then do a question mark, and then ad _type equals housing _ads. And so from there, you could type in your city and your state, and you could see all of the ads that are currently running right now in your area. And you can sort them by how engaging they are. You can sort them by when they were just recently posted. You could even see who, like all of your competitors' ads, for example. And I like to just go through this list, and I like to see what the most engaging ads are, and say, you know what, there are some common themes to all of these ads. Most of them feature people. They feature these amazing shots. Either it's an amazing interior, or it's a collage or a collection of images. There's always typically something on this ad that is really, really highly visual and highly engaging. So I would definitely recommend that if you're building an ad, to go and check out the ad library and check out all of the ads in your area. That way you know exactly what you're up against. So another question that agents ask me is, how much money should they be spending on ads? And the truth is, I can't tell you how much money you should be spending on ads, because I don't know all of the details. I don't know your budget. I don't know the gross revenue, all of that. So really, I looked online, and I saw this interesting resource from the Small Business Administration that had an article in 2019 that essentially said that if you are a small business that makes less than $5 million in sales annually, and that net profit margin after all expenses is within 10 to 12% of your gross revenue, then you should be allocating about 8% to marketing. Now, that's not 8% to social media spend. That's just 8% to marketing in general. So I hope that gives you an idea of how you should potentially think about breaking down your expenditures and finding out how much you should be spending on ads. And lastly, it's all about measuring success. So a lot of agents ask me, how do I know that my ads are effective? Like, how do I know that I'm getting something out of them? And essentially, you should be looking at different metrics depending on where you are in that sales funnel. So, for example, if you're at the top of the sales funnel, remember that's your market potential. You should be looking at cost per mil, CPM, which is the cost of every 1,000 ads, or ad lift. And ad lift is how many people will recognize your ad after 7 days. So those are the two things, which are impression-based objectives. Next, down the funnel, and you want people to reach out, that you want people to go to the website, get more information. That's your cost per click, or your cost per view if you're doing a video. Those are more engagement-based objectives. And finally, at the bottom should be your cost per lead. These are your business outcomes. These are getting people to become leads and essentially become clients after that. So I hope that was helpful. So to recap, number one, focus on building and leveraging relationships on social instead of chasing the deal. Number two, the camera is your friend. Whether you believe it or not, use it often and use it well. Photos, videos, live stream. Number three, working a page social strategy. Nice to have, not a business necessity. Work on your organic habits. Make sure that that organic strategy is exactly where you need it to be. Number four, use the tools available to you to level up for productivity. So whether it's an app on your phone like Speed Test, a platform feature like Facebook's Stitching Together, or an ERA tool or system such as ERA Moves, Social Boost, or anything of that nature. And number five, through sheer force of will, endeavor to learn something new every day. There are resources at your fingertips. And to that point, I'm just going to give you a shameless plug here, is that coming up this year, Fuel ERA has been taken virtual, and on May 12th and May 13th, we're going to have our live general session through Zoom. And you can go and register for that at bit.ly/vfuel20zoom. It's at no additional charge, so definitely check that out. And May 14th, the virtual learning sessions for Fuel are going to drop at erareallearning.com. And you can see all the full schedule and all of the information through the ERA Live event app that you can go and download onto your phone as well. So I hope that was educational. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it back over to Michael for any questions. Hold on one second. There we go. I see you in the stream.
There we are. Dave, thank you so much. I have not seen questions in the chat. If anybody has one, drop it quick. But I think you covered everything. And since this is Facebook Live, it's recorded, so you can go back and watch it over and over. I know there were some cool tips. There was links. Virtual Fuel is actually open to any agent who would like to attend. We have offered that as a part of our little COVID-19 response. So thank you to ERA for that.
Awesome.
And again, Dave, thank you so much for taking your time. And I apologize about our technical difficulties.
No problem.
But you know, that's just part of life. I think all the kids are on their iPads and stuff right now, sucking up all the internet. So anyway, I appreciate it, and hopefully we will get it together again soon, and I'll see you at Fuel.
Awesome. I'll see you guys. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.